Hello, good evening, and welcome to the very last interview for the Women Who Write series, Women Who Write book series, where I've been celebrating and honouring women and authors throughout the month of March 2022. Tonight's guest is very, very special because today's the first day that most people watching would have found out that she's published a book, and she's published a book literally this month. And I can't wait for you to find about all of that. But as we're waiting for people to join, let me know that you're here. Let me know how your day's been. Yeah, it's going to be... Right, I can't believe that we're at the end of March already. Hi, hello sis, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm nervous.
You look really familiar. You look like an author.
Really?
Yeah, you just got that look
Hmm.
about you now.
I mean, I tried to wake up this morning and be about that author life. I mean,
Wow.
I'm trying, I'm trying.
Thank you so much for joining me on the very last video that I'm doing for Women Who Write Books. We've kind of been building up to this point, and I've just mentioned that this is a little bit special because until today, nobody knew you'd publish something this month. So we're going to dive all into that. Everybody watching, some of you, I can recognise your names. You've been watching these videos, so you know how it goes. I'm going to fire our lovely guest a load of questions, and then at the end, we'll open it up to yourselves. But for people who don't already know who you are, who are you and where are you based?
So I am Rachel of A Bridge to Tranquility. A Bridge to Tranquility is a business that is focused on self-development and self-healing through spiritual and energetic practices such as readings, healings, meditations, trauma work. So I am based, obviously, as I always have been, online and virtually. So you can always access my services if you are far away. You can always get involved. But I'm based and have a jewelry. Whoa, did you see that then? Have an office based in Jewelry Quarter. It's already starting. My words aren't
Yeah,
coming out. So yeah, I'm based in Jewelry Quarter in Birmingham, literally 2 minutes walk away from the train station. So yeah, that's me.
fabulous. So for those of you who are interested in Rachel's work, you can see her face to face, she's got a beautiful space. But anyway, we're not here about that today. We're here about something amazing that you've done. But before we dive into that specifically, when and why did you start writing in the first place? Because I know this might come as a surprise to some people.
So I actually, this became an idea on a Word document that was actually going to be originally be a Word document that was going to be an ebook. That was the way I was going to do it. I had this idea that I was going to do an ebook based around like theory and knowledge and learning, and then I was going to do an ebook that was like practical stuff. So that document, if I'm being quite honest, probably got opened in 2019.
Okay.
Um, it took many different forms and many different spaces, and there's lots of Word documents that are secretly open on that laptop. Um, so it kind of began with I wanted to give everybody like a tool that they could use. I wanted to share some knowledge that I'd learned along the way.
Hmm.
Because I think, on this journey, especially on the spiritual journey, like there's so many things around, and there's so many things that you can read, and there's so many things that you can come up with. And I'm not saying that, what I have produced is the Bible by any means. But what I'm saying is this is the way that I do it. This is also some of the ways that I suggest that you can do it, and room there to discover yourself as well. So yeah, that's like it began then. It took shape a lot more towards the end of last year. I was very, very hesitant of kind of getting anything out of paper. So even the bits that I had done, I was kind of a bit like, mm,
Mm.
yeah, I was very in and out with it.
Okay. So with that being said, because you were, it started off as an ebook. You were kind of
Yeah.
committed to the idea, but also, okay, I'm not quite sure what I'm doing with this.
Hmm.
And then you've just mentioned that you were a little bit reluctant to kind of put it onto paper, also. So why a book? What inspired you to write? Like, why? Why that then?
Okay, so I'm giving away secrets here.
Why
I'm
not?
thinking about it. It's all coming out now. So there's this is setting me up now because nobody's going to let me get away from this. There's a bigger book that I want to write that isn't written yet. And whilst I was kind of doing, dabbling into the bigger book and then dabbling a little bit into the ebook, you, my lovely lady, you, you right there. You produced your social media detox book, workbook. And if you haven't joined, and this is a little bit props, I'm giving props, Roger. If you haven't joined Monday Meetup, you need to come to a Monday Meetup. So you shared in Monday Meetup that you were doing this. You shared how quickly the process had gone, kind of thing. This is the piece of paper. This is what happened. And you did, in a slight way, definitely say, this isn't actually hard. Like, you can do this. So from there, inspiration kind of, took in a way, because I was sort of like, so you'll probably know the month better than me, probably like October, November you did that maybe. Yeah. So that was when I was kind of like, oh, I can create something tangible, and there's actually a way for me to create something tangible that I feel like I just wasn't aware of before that. I think if anybody would have said to me prior to that, oh, would you do a book? I would have been like, well, how do I do that? Like, I can make an ebook because, I can turn that into a PDF. I can turn it into things and formats that I'm used to. But a physical book, like I'm holding down in my hand right now, didn't seem feasible to me. So to be quite honest with you, it was you, my lovely lady, that inspired it to become a physical book. However, please note, it is still March. It's only just March, and so it was definitely a lack in the middle.
But you know what? I've just seen Karen's comment, Karen from Deadlifts and Red Lips, and she said Annika making authors of us all. And you know what? For everyone watching, there was a week where it was Rachel and Karen who'd attended, and I'd just done the workbook, and I'd said, you two need to do something like this. This is what you need to do. I will send you this. I will help you do this. It's not hard. You need to be making money.
That was literally the conversation.
Yeah,
she's not even lying. That was the direct conversation.
But I also think that's a big credit to you also, because you could have listened to that and thought, nah, she's talking rubbish. But you chose to do something with this. You chose actually to look at what you've done already and think, well, actually, yeah, like you already at that point, you saw the value in your idea and the value in what you've created so far. You just needed a bit of a push. But if you didn't believe in the value of it, you would not have entertained what I'd said at all. So you were already in that space of knowing that you had something worth sharing.
Yeah.
As well. But so we're talking about Rachel having written a book. I don't know if anyone of you have seen this beauty that she wrote this. She did the cover herself, everyone.
It's
right on our beloved Canva. I mean, come on. Right, it's like it's proper got like acknowledgements, like it's even got at the back about an author page, for people who don't already know our Rachel, but some of you know who she is, we don't need this bit. Like, this is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. Tell us all about your book. Tell us about you and her 8 moon phases.
So you and our 8 phases, the moon journal workbook. I've called it a moon journal, but it is kind of a workbook. So this book is all about you and working with the 8 phases of the moon. So for some people that are watching, they may not even know that the moon has 8 phases, because I remember when I got into the moon, sorry, I just saw Lewis's comment that's like, I'm already playing it. Just made me chuckle. So yeah, a lot of people, when they kind of get to know about the moon and kind of about its energy, you learn new moon and full moon. We all know about new moon and full moon. And then if you dive a little bit deeper, you usually start to learn about the first quarter and the last quarter. So a lot of people work by kind of the moons by 2s and the moons by 4s. When I began kind of getting deeper into the spiritual, energetic practice side of my gift, because I was already with my gift, but I started getting into, you know, okay, what's actually going on in this universe, and let me find out. I really, really quickly took to the moons. I really understood the process. Okay, there's a cycle. There's times in the month for certain things. It all made very logical sense to me, which is what I love. Especially when it comes to spirituality. Like, I love when it can mirror up. So I continued to kind of divulge, and I did what everybody else did. I started with my 2, started with my 4, and then I was like, there's got to be, you know, more to this. So I started researching more, and I found out about all 8 phases, and I was like, okay, hold on. This all makes sense. And what I quickly realized, and this is the reason, the main reason behind, well, one of the main reasons behind creating You and Her 8 Phases, was what I really realized quickly was a lot of the phases that we knew about were being kind of bundled into one or two. So, for instance, a lot of people will think that, you know, the new moon's for intention setting. It's not. The phase that follows it, and it's only 3.5 days later, but the phase that follows it is the actual phase where all of that setting intention energy is. Same for the full moon. A lot of people will do their release at the full moon, which to a degree you kind of release, but it's not the same as that kind of release. That's actually the last quarter when you cleanse and you release. So what I wanted people to know was, okay, there's a lot more detail to this thing. And also what I found was when I started to understand the 8 phases, I then started to look at how they mirrored up with me. And I then started to notice, you know, how my energy was around certain moons, how, you know, as a woman as well, how my menstrual cycle worked around those moons. Like, and for men as well that are watching, you guys have hormones. It still works the same way. It's just a little bit different. But there's still a hormone cycle. So for me, I was like, okay, cool, dig deeper. I start realizing, okay, these kind of align with like seasons as well. I'm like, okay, you know, the new moon brings that same spring energy, and the last quarter and the waning crescent, you know, it brings that winter. So then you start looking at it, and I was like, this is like an amazing tool, an amazing step to start to understand the cycles and the energetic cycles that are around us, because everything is a cycle. We are a cycle. Life is a cycle. The seasons are cycles. You know, the moon's a cycle. The sun has its own zodiac cycle. Like, we're constantly in a cycle after a cycle after a cycle. So for me, the moon was my grip on the cycles, and it was my way to kind of dabble into little things that I didn't want to immerse myself in. So I'll be honest, I don't want to immerse myself in astrology. I like it, but I don't want to immerse myself in it. I don't want to learn loads about it. But the moons gave me a way to kind of be like, okay, the moon's in this, so let me learn about what this means when the moon's in that. So it allowed me to learn more as well. So yeah, that's kind of the major reason why this, you know, this is what it is and what I created. And the main substance behind the book is that it's not just information and it's not just journaling, because when I started, you know, looking into stuff and resources for the moon, I could only ever find books that were about the moon, about its science, about the phases. And then I could only find moon journals separately that would have little bits and bobs, but I'm a little bit of a geek and I like to read things. I like things really structured out. So I like to, you know, see, this is what it is. This is what you should be doing. Here's some things that you can try. Off you pop and do it. So it was kind of like it was all in different spaces and places. So when I started creating You and Her 8 Phases, I was like, how can I bring this all together? So it literally begins like a workbook. It's all 8 phases in detail. I will be very, very honest, as if you follow me and you know me, I'm very, very authentic. So some of the moons are a couple more pages longer than the other moons because I've divulged into a lot more. I have a lot more of an alignment with those. And then there's moons that have a little bit less, because actually in my practice and in my alignment, there's not actually a lot to do with them. Like, although they are energy, there are some moons that need a lot more practicality than ceremonial and rituals. So yeah, that kind of is how it starts. It goes through all of the 8 phases in detail, practices, affirmations, prayers, ceremonies. Yeah, all of that's there. Also as well, guys, you will notice as you go along in the book, there are like gaps of spaces. So like under the affirmation page there that Annika just had up, there's prayers and affirmations on there, but there's quite a nice bit of space underneath. That's because, as I say, I've not created a Bible, and that's not what I was trying to do. I wanted to create something where you can begin that journey with the lunar cycle, but carry on with it after. So if you get this book and you want to write your own affirmations in there, or you want to add your own little bits that you're doing for your ceremony, there's room in there to do it. So then it can literally become your moon Bible, not mine, but it can become yours. You can add to it. And then once you get past that bit, begins the journaling pages. So I've done a whole year worth of lunar cycles. There
And
is
why a whole year of and it's brilliant. There's lots of space here to write, and you know, lots of advice there depending on which phase of the moon there is at the top. It's really awesome. There's a lot of thought gone into this, everyone. But why a year? Why not 3 months? Why not 2 months? Why have you done a year of journaling?
So, a couple of reasons. I think a year is a good time to go through all of the different types of moons. You will have gone through all of your full moons in different signs. You will have gone through your new moons in different signs. Also, and this is me being really, really honest, because we fall off. We fall off. Nobody, and if you do, and this is me saying it, and it's my book, if you pick this book up and you are religious with it for a whole year, shout out to you. Honestly, I'm being serious, because it's not that we're not consistent, it's that life takes over, things happen. And what I didn't want to happen, and this is another reason why as well, the journal pages, they're not dated. They're not, it literally just says new moon in, so you can write what zodiac sign it's in, and it says on, so you can write the date, so you can keep track of where you are. But there's nothing in there so it's got the little gaps, because I didn't want to date it, because I was thinking to myself when I created this, if I'm being honest, is what do I want? Because I'm going to be using this now. When new moon pops tomorrow, I'm writing in my first page, because I'm gassed that this exists, not even just because it's mine. So what I wanted was for people to be able to not hold themselves to ransom with it, and not be like, oh, I haven't done that for 3 months. I can't even pick that book up now because it's dated and it's this and I've fallen behind. The other side of it, I wanted people to be able to pick it up at any time. I wanted people to be able to find it and be like, right, okay, I can start this. And you can, you don't have to start it on the new moon. I always say to people, like, start where you need to start, kind of thing. So with this, like, if you grab it and it's full moon, we'll start on your first full moon page from there, because then you'll go back round and you'll just know that those extra pages are at the beginning waiting for you to still do that whole thing. So the year of lunar, the whole lunar year consists of like 104 phases. So there's 104 journal prompts and journal pages, and I'm not going to sit here and anticipate that everybody's going to sit and journal every 3 days on a phase. I'd love you to, and you'll probably find that towards the end you do, and at the beginning you might, and in the middle you might. But I wanted to give everybody enough room so that, one, they knew they could kind of, do it as they needed to. And two, which I thought was the most important, was that, if you fell off, you didn't have to get rid of it. Like, I'm not going to lie, I'm very resourceful. I'm very like, and this is me, not as in I'm devaluing myself, because I'm happy with how it's priced and everything that it is, but also getting your worth as well. I didn't want somebody to buy something and feel like it's going to disappear overnight, or if you forget to journal for a couple of days, well, that's it, I've wasted it now, let me leave it there. And I know I've done that with stuff that's got dates on. I've got halfway through a diary before and been like, oh shit, I haven't used any of this, and it's horrible. So I didn't want that thing. So that's why I've done a year. It gives you enough time to stop, drop, roll with it as much as you need to, and it allows you to have that freedom. And then, fingers crossed, it gives you enough time to get used to it all and really get into it.
I love that, and it just sounds like what you've been really intentional about creating an experience for people who are interested, who want to kind of walk this path or just experiment and experience it. But you've really put a lot of thought into how they might experience it, and even what you're saying about we fall off, because we do. There's no pressure for anybody watching for you to complete every page, but if you did a little bit of it and you found some benefit of it, it's just. And I think as well, when we're doing the journal part, I feel like that'd be like a really good tracker. You might look back and think, oh, actually, I tend to be really on it in full moon, but I don't know. But you might learn about a lot about yourself.
Definitely. definitely. You'll learn about how your emotions roll. You'll learn about, you know, how even just certain things. Like, I know when I'm irritable, and sometimes it'll work the opposite way as well. So, like, I'll get to a point where I'm like, I'm really agitated and I'm this, and I'll look on my phone. I'll look on my phone and I'll look at what phase it is, and I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. Or it'll be, that phase is coming in 2 days, so this is why I'm starting to feel like this. And that's why I went with the moons first. If I was going to create anything, it was like, I'm going to go with the moons first, because to me, they do give you such an understanding of yourself, but also even just the energy around you as well.
It's that foundation, isn't it? I've just seen a comment that's just gone through there. She missed the name of the book. It's You and Her 8 Phases, and you can get them on Amazon, but you can also get signed copies directly from Rachel by visiting her website, or popping her a message, and she can sort that out for you. So there's going to be opportunity at the end of all my questions for you lot to have your questions also. And I'm just thinking there might be some things that I'm going to ask that you think, oh, I was going to ask that. But feel free to pop them in the comments as your questions come to you, because I will scroll back in a little while and then get our lovely Rachel to answer them. I'm thinking so fast and my words can't catch up. This is why I write, because I just can't. Yeah. So, what you mentioned earlier, and for people who don't already know you, you run a business. It's not a hustle. It's not a side hustle. It's not a hobby. That's your business. That's your main source of income. You do a wide range of services that include, you know, your one-to-one readings and your spiritual support, and, you know, so much that you do. So how on earth did you make time to write this in amongst all your other commitments? How did you do that?
So I think the first thing that I have to be very, very honest about is I did it in bits. I did it in bits for a very long period of time. And then when it came to kind of like the wrap up as such, the getting, you know, closer and closer to the deadline that I'd created for myself, I think I started getting a little bit more like, okay, I'm going to section some time here, I'm going to section some time there. But if I'm being genuinely honest, it wasn't written in my work hours. It wasn't written when I was at the office. It was written when I brought my laptop home and sat on the sofa and started writing. It was, you know, because a lot of it as well, obviously, when you get the book, you'll understand. A lot of it was me collating a lot of my information that I had. So it was getting out my old journals and getting out a lot of things that I've written out over the years, and kind of collating that all together. Not diminishing stuff because I didn't do it anymore, but being like, okay, how much value did that add to me? That needs to go in there too, because that will help people. So it was a lot of information finding in the background first, that again was done in my own time. And then same with the book. I wrote most of it when I was at home, because as you say, like, you know, it is, you know, the bridge is my main thing. It is my business. It's not a side hustle. So it takes up all of my time anyway. It takes up all of my time anyway. So a lot of it was kind of like in bits and bobs, taking from stuff that I'd done. I'd done like a little bit of an online course sort of version of this. So I took bits from there, but that all needed to be like, you know, mirrored up, and it all needed to kind of, you know, be redone, because the thing that went on the website was kind of like the half-hearted, okay, cool, let me do this for people and find some stuff. Whereas when I started this, it was like, this is not half-hearted, like this needs to be everything that I want it to be, sort of thing. And I think that's why so much process and kind of thinking about the experience. I kind of treated it, as weird as it sounds, but I suppose it makes sense. I kind of treated it just like when I do tea talk, or I do entity readings, or I create content. I was like, okay, if I was looking at this, what would I want from it, and what would it do? And that was how I did it. I kind of based it all on what I would have liked, and not just what I would like now as somebody who's been on a journey for like over 10 years, but actually what would I have liked all the way back then as well. And I think that was it. I had to find that in between. So yeah, the time was very much in my own time, in any spare time that I had. Towards the end, towards the deadline, I started making time at work when I was at the office to get my head into it, just so that things were definitely done. But yeah, most of it in my own time.
Okay. And I quite like that you've said that, because it's almost like you do work really long hours, and I think when you own your own business anyway, you work beyond full time. You work so many extra hours,
Yeah.
and so in your free time, you would assume that you were just laying on the sofa watching Netflix or catching up with friends or just not doing very much, but you had this goal that you really wanted to finish this. When you knew that it could be in a book, you really wanted to finish this, and you made time and you set your own deadline and you made sure you reached it, and it's out, so there you go. Discipline, yes, but I think just having that focus and just having that vision, and I feel like your why is probably what carried you through as well, because you know how beneficial it would be to other people. So in writing this wonderful book here, what has it taught you about yourself in writing the book?
Oh gosh, loads. So the first thing that I should probably mention, which again, if you're part of the Tea Talk community, you'll know, but so I'm dyslexic. So I didn't get diagnosed properly until I was 18. So when I went to college, funnily enough, out of Birmingham City Council, the funding was clearly there. But up to this point, I'd always kind of made peace with the fact that writing was not my forte. I'd always been told from a really, really young age that, like, you speak A star, you write like an E. Like, it doesn't make sense. What comes out of your mouth doesn't come out on paper. And obviously, for anybody who knows anything about dyslexia, there's a variety of things that happen, from staring at a computer or staring at a piece of paper for too long and the words will start to move, or your brain just, D's look like B's, and things just get a bit complicated, and it's all a bit like, oh, spelling, grammar, that all makes no sense to me. So the first thing, which I think is probably the big delay between kind of like October all the way to March, was I needed to get over, like, literally, like, I can't even call it writers or creative block. Like, I needed to get over dyslexia block, because in my brain it was like, well, you can't do this because this isn't going to make sense, or it's not going to be worded correctly. Me unwritten up until this point, to me, was not tangible. It wasn't feasible. Like, I could talk all day, get me on a live, I'll talk all day long, ask me questions, I'll do discussions, but write something physically down, this is going to take me a lifetime, and it's going to be horrible. And for periods of time, if I'm being genuinely honest, there was periods of times where definitely, the laptop got slammed shut. It was, this is stupid. Why are you trying to do this? When did you even, one of the big ones was in the mirror. I remember it to this day. I think I was halfway through. And what I did was I did things in parts. So, like, I wrote the information first, then I did the ceremonies, then I did the affirmations. So things went all in order, although they were all separate. And there was a moment where I remember being halfway through just the moon information. So it's only like, 4 pages in at this point. And I remember standing in the bathroom mirror and being like, why are you even doing this? Author was never on your list. You've never tried to manifest being an author. You've never tried, like, what are you doing, kind of thing. And there was a real moment where I kind of literally stepped away and I thought to myself, this isn't going to happen. And I kind of was like, yeah, okay, I'm just going to kind of float into the background and kind of keep on saying to people, yeah, when I'm ready, but hopefully it will just go and it will disappear. And then for me, that brought up a lot around shame and embarrassment. So my big thing that I realised was, you're not bothered about actually creating a book or creating this or creating that. You're bothered about the potential of shame that you could experience if this doesn't make sense, if a full stop's in the wrong place, if you haven't grammatically done it correctly. And I was just like, I had to work through that shame. I had to work through and for me, it was big educational shame. It wasn't just shame, like, it was big educational shame. It was remembering the teachers that were like, well, why can't you do this? And you could do this yesterday, but why can't you do this today? So a lot of it was a lot of, like, inner child work, a lot of honest conversations. I had a very tearful conversation with my mom where I was like, my brain doesn't work the same as other people's, and I got really upset. And I had to process it all. I had to process the hurt. I had to process the pain. And I had to process the shame that I had experienced as well, which was really, really big. And then once that was done, it was genuinely just me against procrastination. That was it. Once that hurdle was done with the shame and stuff like that, and when I'm saying that as well, guys, that was only like recent. That was like January, February that this shame thing come up, and I was like, whoa, where did all of this come from? And little Rachel turned up, and she was a ball of shame, and she was crying, and I was like, oh no, what is going on? But once that was all kind of done, it was a very big thing for me. Like, to me, this book to me symbolizes me accepting myself. And that sounds, to other people who will grab it, they'll be like, what in this book has anything to do with accepting yourself? But for me, it's not about what's actually in it. It's the fact that it exists. That is me accepting myself. So it's, as you said, it's full of, acknowledgements. And when you guys, if you do purchase it, you read the dedication, you'll completely understand what I'm saying. But yeah, so once the procrastination battle was over, it was kind of then, it did just flow then. I kind of surrendered to the process, and all of the little things that I'd usually do that would put me off, being impatient or this isn't going to work. Like, I just surrendered to it all, and I was just like, you know what? If somebody's, and this is me being honest, there probably is a full stop somewhere in there that it shouldn't be. But if somebody's that pedantic to notice and, tell me off for it, then I want to be like, yeah, I want to be pissed that there's a full stop where somebody shouldn't have put it. Like,
I just want to throw it out there that even, really established authors with a whole editing team and all that, sometimes you will spot a word or a full stop. There'll be something that many eyes cast over it have also missed. And I think, for me personally, I feel like if it doesn't take away from the content, it's not really an issue. What we're seeing is that you're human. And I think you even sharing this, and you said, some people won't see a big deal, but actually, you've got dyslexia, you're dyslexic, and you still did this. And so, that shame had the strength and the power to stop you, but yet you overcame and you still did it. And I feel like that's incredible, because there might be people who also are dyslexic and could, like you were before, and could never manifested this.
Never.
But you've done it. And I must say to people watching, she's done a really great job. Actually, I got Rachel, because we had a session where I supported her through the self-publishing process, and I said, send it over to me. And I think, yes, it's brilliantly written, great structure. And you said you were weren't really expecting that.
No, I wasn't. Not at all.
Really, really brilliant. And you should be absolutely really proud of you, because again, that could have stopped you, and it didn't. And it's like your intention for what this could be was so strong that even though it brought up, that stuff for you, you were like, no, we're working through this now. And then all you had to deal with was procrastination, which is what the rest of us have to face. So do you know what I mean? So you're like, this is a walk in the park.
The normal stuff.
But honestly, well done, and you should be so proud of yourself. And I can see some of the comments where people can relate also. So also thank you for sharing that, because you didn't have to, but I love that you did. I think that's really beautiful. So, for those of you who are watching, who are thinking about ordering yourself a copy, just know that when you read that she put a heart into this, and she faced real stuff to write it for you, so that you can really experience it in the way that she intended. And I think that's beautiful. And you did that because you care. It's not like you did like some half-assed few words and that's it. You really care about it. I think that's huge. So what do you hope people take away from your writing? So now that you've pushed through and you've written it and it's in a proper book, what do you hope people take away from it? And particularly for people who perhaps this is the first time they're experiencing you as well.
I like that. I think the main thing that I would like people to take away is feeling like they've got some kind of knowledge or understanding about, one of the many energetic cycles that's happening around them. I'd like to hope that, and I say this with everything that I do, I'd like to hope that it's written in a way that you can see that I'm trying to be part of your learning. I'm not trying to be all of it. I'm not trying to say, this is everything you need to know about the moons. This is all, you know, this is the only stuff that you're ever going to do. I wanted it to be something that, you know, is the beginning of the deepening of that connection, or, you know, the deepening of the connection if you're already there. So I think I would like people to take away that, you know, a lot of the things that we go through can be very much attributed, and I don't mean this in a dismissive way, by the way, because if you know me, I'm not dismissive and I love accountability. But having an extra understanding of stuff that's happening around you that can impact you allows you to understand yourself better. So I think the main thing is I want people to get to the end of the journaling, whether it's in a year, whether it's in 2 years, because it's taken you however long to do it, I don't mind. Whether you get into the end of your third one because you've ordered more because you're on a roll. Like, I just want people to get to the end and be like, you know what? I feel really empowered by this and by what's going on around me, but also I feel mostly empowered because I understand how this relates to me. And that would be the main thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's so deep. I'm
Thank
just
you.
I'm like stunned. But yes, yes. And you know, I have to say, for anybody who is watching, whether it's on the live or on the replay, this is what's always good when you read something and you have an experience or you feel connected to the words, to let the author know. Let them know how you found it, or if there was a sentence that stood out, or if it made you think about something differently, or, you know, when you read Rachel's book and you start doing the journaling, and if you learn something about yourself because you filled in the journal entry for the reigning crescent, share that with her, you know, because it's she'll know then that she's done what she came here to do. But also, you know, I think for authors, we like to hear that someone's enjoying our work. So we're almost at the point where we can kind of hand it over to our lovely audience and they can post some questions for you in the comments. So that's like a signal to you, like watching. Post a question in the comments while I get to the last question for our lovely Rachel. And Rachel, okay, so now you've written this book that you didn't know you was going to write, but you've written it. What advice would you give for aspiring writers or aspiring authors?
Just do it. Just risk it for a chocolate biscuit, because the worst that's going to happen, let's be honest, this is me being really honest now, and this is where I really broke it down to myself. Even though I put my heart and soul in it, but obviously when I had to have that conversation with myself about the fact that, you know, this is now going out for public opinion, this is now going to be, you know, the worst that I thought was, okay, the worst thing that can possibly happen is nobody orders it. That's the worst possible thing. The worst possible thing is that nobody can order it. The second worst possible thing is that nobody likes it. And this is going to sound really bad of me, but then they've already brought it to know that they didn't like it. So it's an ow, in a sense, and I probably won't do another book again. But you know what I mean? In not in a bad way. Like, you know, I need to brush up on my writing skills before the next thing. So I really kind of like tried to take it down to the most basic level with myself, because we have brains and minds that will come up every scenario, like, you know, and, you know, even down to, you know, and this is me being really real because I'm still human regardless of what I do. Like, I thought about people that don't like me. I thought, oh my God, you know, there's going to be people that don't like me, or, you know, that have an issue with me, for want of a better, you know, are they going to buy it just so that they can ridicule me? And then again, it went back to the same thing. Well, they're going to have to buy it first, so more for them for doing so, like one of those ones. So yeah, like, from somebody who genuinely, if you would have said to me even 3 months ago, when I already was inspired to do it, if you would have said it was happening now and this is it, and by, you know, by the 31st, you're going to be on a live with Annika, you know, come the 1st, which is kind of like the official launch date tomorrow, when all the posts and stuff will go up and the link will be in my bio for people to order, etc. I would have been like, nah, that ain't going to happen. You know, I'm going to drag my feet. It's not going to happen. It's not going to, you know, whatever. So to me, just get out of your own way. Get out of your own way and just really sit with yourself about what it is that you want to give. And don't think about, and I think this was the big thing for me, don't think about what's going to be inside of it just yet. Think about what you want people to get from it when whatever's inside of it is in there. And that was how I did it. It was kind of like, okay, well, what am I creating? Why am I creating it? And what do I want for people to have from it? And once I had those things, it was like, right, okay, I can, I can then go for the substance because I know what I'm trying to do and I know what I'm trying to create. So, and for some of you, it might not be that it's, and I think this is another thing as well, because I think when I finally do the big book, when I do the big book in a few years, guys, please leave me, in a few years, I don't think that when I write that, I'm going to write that for others as such. I think it's going to be for me. So I think it's about getting clear about what you're writing for. And even if it isn't for others and it's for you, okay, but if it's for you, what do you want from it? And then go from there. So just do it. Just get out your own way. Like, I am genuinely, I will be so honest, I am the last person I would have ever expected to publish a book. Literally. And that is fact. Like, last person ever, I would have thought. But yeah, here I am. So yeah, just get out your own way. Like, it's here. Like, I keep on flicking it. I just look at it sometimes. Sometimes I just open it on random pages and I'm like, rah, I wrote that. Like, that's my words on paper. Like, it's mad.
That's your name on a book. Your whole name.
It is my whole name.
And
Do you know one thing? It's the little things in life, that's my barcode, guys. I've got a barcode. Who am I? Who am I with my whole book and a barcode? Like,
and also, I'm gonna throw this one to you as well. Your book is going to travel to places that you haven't even been, that you may not have even heard yet. How deep is that?
That's deep,
Before we wrap up and go over to the questions, I want to read out the dedication because I think it's beautiful. And okay, awful voice. I want to dedicate this workbook to the younger version of myself who never believed that her words would be on pages for people to read. This is for you. I mean, little Rachel must be so gassed right now because you did it. You did this. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for answering all my questions. Everybody watching, over to you now. Throw your questions into the comments. You've had a little listen to what Rachel has said, what she's shared, a little bit of her insight, her tips. Let us know any questions that you've got for her related to what we've talked about. Don't ask her what she's had for dinner. And we will get to them. I just thought, if I say any questions, people will ask, so I just
a whole heap of madness in the comments.
Okay, Louis says, do you have any at your workplace to buy?
I do indeed. So if you are somebody, so Lewis, I know you come in and see me. So if you are somebody that comes in, or you are planning on coming in for a session or anything, they are at the office to buy. The only thing I would say, and this is me just going from a customer service point of view, is I wouldn't advise banking on getting it if you're not somebody that comes in regularly, because if you do just turn up at the office, I'm not always there. It's not always available. Obviously, the office is secure, so nobody but me can get in there. So it's kind of like they are there, but they'll only be available for people that have kind of messaged me and pre-ordered. So there's 20 copies. Well, there's not even 20 remaining anymore. I'm kind of lying here because it went out to my magic mailing list yesterday. So I keep on telling people, sign up to the mailing list, guys. It's where the exclusives are. So I couldn't come on here today without giving my mailing list, the forward. So there isn't even 18 of them remaining at 18. Well, there isn't even 20 of them. I can't even get my words out anymore. There isn't even 20 of them remaining. But if you pre-order with me, if you want to collect from the office, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure you pre-order rather than kind of like turning up, because it's not like a shop, it's an office, so I won't be there. If you do order from myself or from obviously the link that's going to be in my bio or on my website, it will be signed. I'm going to write, I have already been, I've been writing personal messages in them, little thank you cards and bits like that. But obviously you can still order it off Amazon as well. It just won't be signed by me, which,
Okay. So if you want the personal touch, you know what to do. We've had a really good question here from Gigi Brown. If new to spirituality and not knowing much about the moon cycles, will I learn or understand?
I think definitely. So I don't think it's been done in an overcomplicated way. I really hope I haven't done it in an overcomplicated way. I think it's a very good way to just, so the beginning of the book um is a little bit of an information overview just about like the lunar cycle as a whole. So I explain kind of like the durations of each phase. I explain like what the phases align with. I explain how many phases there are, give it away, there's 8, but explain all of that stuff. So that gives you a nice little overview. And then as you go page per page through the phases, it's just a very like light, knowledge base. I haven't gone like, into the cosmos. If you know me or you know a breach, like I don't do that anyway. Like I'm not into that whole, I'm going to use a load of words that are going to confuse you. If you don't know me already, the tagline is you don't have to be weird to be spiritual. So the book is very much based around that. So if you're somebody that has no knowledge of the moons, or if you're somebody who's not really overly into spirituality, but you're interested in the lunar cycles, it's the perfect kind of thing to just, ease yourself in there, get a little knowledge, have a little practice, and kind of go with your own flow. So yeah, definitely I would say. And please do, if you do purchase it, please do let me know as well if you did find that, because I would be really interested to know.
Really great advice there. Well, really great answer. The next question I've got is asking for advice, really. I suppose she's only just joined. Did you have a proofreader and publisher, or did you self-publish?
So, my proofreader, aka my editor, was the lovely Annika. Yeah, it was you. Annika was my editor, and also Annika spoke me and guided me through as kind of, would it be classed as kind of like you mentoring, Annika, or is it classed as something different? Yeah. So under like Annika's creative mentoring, she actually guided me through. We like shared the screen, we split screened, we shared the screen over Zoom, good old Zoom, and I self-published with Annika's guidance. So it was self-published with a little bit of guidance from the lovely lady up there.
Yeah, and I have to say, that's the beautiful thing about self-publishing, is that it's so accessible.
Yeah.
And we did it via Kindle Direct Publishing, which is an Amazon company. And what it does is it scans your work. So it will let you know if there's any spelling errors or if anything's outside of the margins. It's really intuitive now. But yeah, we did do it as part of the mentoring, but I wouldn't do the self-publishing stuff with just anybody. I think your writing would have to be.
Why, thank you.
No, but I feel like I feel like because you're already communicating with an audience regularly, and you've got your website and you've got your newsletter, so you already have a tone of voice and style of writing. But I think for some people are ready to be published, and some people should perhaps focus more so on developing their writing first. So, but
if that even that still makes me go, ooh.
Yeah,
style. Okay, check me out.
I wouldn't do it with just anybody. I would, because also when we do, and I don't mind if anyone knows this actually, but when you self-publish your book, there's a good chance when you go out there in the world, you're going to tell people that I helped you do it. So I can't have you out there making me look.
It's true. I'm not even gonna lie. Yeah, it's true. Same reason why what goes in the book goes in the book, because if there was shit in there, I wouldn't want, you're gonna go around and say, oh, I learned this from, Rachel from A Bridge to Tranquility and her, you and the 8 Phases book. So I get that from that point of view, because I wouldn't want something shit in there for people to say that they learned that from me. So I get that level of, I wouldn't want somebody to publish it that's not ready. And I suppose, I'm kind of questioning you now, but I suppose in your role, that's your responsibility as well, isn't it? To turn around and say, this is not ready.
Yeah. I mean, I've published whole books that I'm not proud of and that are no longer, you can't buy them anymore. So.
I love that.
Because at the time I wrote this, and now I'm like, that's rubbish. So yeah, and it is important, and I know that when this goes out into the world, you'll be so proud of it, because it's important that when you spent so much time on a piece of work and you're sharing it with people, that it's also something that you're proud to stand by and proud to talk about, and you absolutely should be. You really should be, because it's and you'll all understand once you've read it and once you've got it and you've gone through it, just how much thought has gone into it. So I think it's well written and well structured, and I think it's
Can
really
I
cool.
interrupt you about the proud thing? So this is something I actually want to share, and I suppose this is for the aspiring authors as well, just to give you a feel. And I think I voice noted you this morning, actually, Annika. Yesterday when I got home, considering that the book was officially submitted to be published on the 17th of March, the cover was a little bit out of line, so they sent it me back on the 22nd, and I had to do it again. So the official first publishing of this actually arrived at my office on Monday, so it was available to purchase from Friday. So bearing in mind, I got it in my hands on Monday. I've got a video of myself opening the package and looking at it. And yeah, I did have a little bit of a tear, guys. But it took a minute. Don't get me wrong. It's like 7 minutes into the video, I just finally go. But being honest about the proud thing, it was only last night, and I think as well, I went to a poetry event, so I don't know whether this had helped. So, you know, like being in a space where everybody was expressing themselves. And I came home and I got into bed and I was journaling, not moon journaling, because I didn't have this yet. And it wasn't a moon yet. But I was journaling in my normal journal. And it was, the only way I can describe it was there was a feeling in my stomach and in my chest. And I was like, what is this feeling? It wasn't a bad feeling. And I realised in that moment that was finally, and I say finally because that is a little bit of a, you know, gap when you think about it. That was finally the moment that I actually realised I feel proud of myself. I'm not saying I'm proud, because we always do that, don't we? Something happens and you're like, yeah, I'm really proud of myself. And you say it because you know it's something good and you know it's something you should be proud of. But actually feel proud is a different thing. And for the first time, I'm going to be really honest, in the first time in like 2 years, last night was the moment where I was like, I'm proud of myself. And I went to bed with the most biggest smile on my face because I was just like, yeah. And as well, again, for aspiring authors, definitely, what that allowed me to do was when I went to bed with that feeling, I was also thinking about the fact that I feel this feeling about a lot of stuff, but I've just never really recognised it properly. So yeah, the proud thing might not come the day that you know, send your final draft over. It might not come the day that you actually even press the publish button. Like for me, I thought it was going to come as soon as it was in my hands. I thought I was going to open the package and I was going to be like, oh, I'm so proud. And I was emotional and I felt like I should be proud, but I hadn't experienced actually that feeling just yet. And then, yes, so literally last night that happened. And I think that was genuinely because I'd sent it out to the mailing list. And I knew I was doing this today, so I knew it was coming. So the pride started, you know, it started to move. So yeah, just a little.
Sounds like you just needed a day or two just to kind of come to terms with what you've done, but like a bit in a good way, like
Oh, 100%.
process it. Okay, so everybody watching, we've got just a few minutes left, so let me know if you've got any questions for Rachel. Pop it in the comments while we've got her here. I'm sure that she's going to be talking lots more about her book online on social media anyway as the weeks unfold.
Yeah, thank you. So obviously I'm so excited to be on here and be exclusively launching with you guys. However, if you do follow me and if you don't, you will get to know I have a live that happens, you know, usually twice a week. And it's where we all come together. We all kind of have like a nice little tranquil space. It's tea talk tranquility. So because of that, it would be absolutely horrendous and rude of me not to celebrate with my community. So on Saturday evening, instead of doing tea talk tranquility, I'm going to be doing a sip sparkles and surprises in the evening. I'm going to buy myself some bubbly. And if you are around and you are free, I would absolutely love for you to come on the live and just celebrate with me. I'm going to talk about the book. I'm going to talk about the process again. Obviously open up for questions and stuff, but just have a generic chat and just kind of, you know, talk about some of the stuff that's in there. I may or may not give a few copies away as a bit of a competition. If you're in there, you've got to be in it to win it, obviously. But yeah, so I am going to be celebrating. As I say, there'll be a post out tomorrow, like officially launching it to my platform and all of that good stuff. The link will be in my bio to order the signed copies that are exclusively through myself or through the website as well. So anything that's ordered via the website for these first, like, you know, this first week or two will also be the signed copies as well. So it will only be if you order from Amazon that they won't be. But yeah, I'm going to be celebrating. You're going to see lots of posts and all of that stuff. And as I say, you know, if you're free on Saturday, I'm probably going to go live probably about 6-ish, 6:30. So even if you're about to go out or anything, I can pre-drink with you if you like. So yeah, come and join me. I'm going to celebrate, and I say celebrating, you know how it goes.
Love that. Well, I have to say I can't see any questions yet, so that's fine, because Rachel will be around. She's not going to disappear after this live. She will be around, so you can reach out to her in the usual way. But for those of you watching, if you haven't already, order your copy, get it, tag Rachel, let her know that you've got it, let her know how you find it. Just be open-minded to experiencing it. It's a piece of work that she's absolutely proud of, but also absolutely should be, and you know, she's really put heart into this. And I just want to say thank you for being my last but not least guest for Women Who Write Books series. How phenomenal.
Thank you. The series has been absolutely amazing. I think it was such a fabulous idea. And you know, when you asked me, obviously I've been the mystery guest from day dot, but you knew when you asked me how kind of just overwhelmed and so like happy and so appreciative. So thank you for allowing me to come in this. Thank you for allowing me to like literally launch my book like in your life. It's been an absolute honor, and you know, I'm always bigging up Annika. I always will. And if you're here because you're one of my followers and you don't follow Annika, make sure you follow her, because you're just missing out on your whole life, if not literally.
I agree with, but I'm also going to throw this back onto you, because this is not the Annika show today. This is all about you and the work that you've done and the heart that you've put into this. And I just know that everybody who already loves you and those who have yet to find out about you, they're going to really enjoy this. So when I post this on the grid, everybody please do share it to your stories, share this to people who you think might be interested in it. You know, this might make a really good gift to somebody who's started their spiritual journey, or somebody who's asking questions. Perhaps they're seeing you on yours and like, what that's about. A beautiful gift. I think we've got Easter coming up. A beautiful gift in a basket.
Also, I'll give another exclusive, because we're here and we're celebrating, and I can see questions about how do I get it. So an exclusive for anybody that is in this live, although I'm going to post the official post tomorrow, I will put the link in my bio after this live. So if you're here and you heard what I said, you know that it's there. You can go and order your signed official copy. If you're not here, then, you know, you're not here, innit?
It always pays to be in the right place at the right time. You were here first, and you need to be on her magic mailing list. And if we do a live, you need to be there, because otherwise you'll miss out.
It's true.
Well, thank you so much for being an amazing guest. It's just been an honour just to witness the journey and to see you get to a point where you've shown and proven to yourself that you can put your words in a book and we can read them and love them. So kudos to you.
Thank you so very much.
And thank you everybody for watching live. And do you know what? Kara's just put, take my money.
I literally was going to say, what a good end comment is that? Like, just take my money. just
I love that.
Thanks.
So yeah, Rachel, take our money, take it all. We're going to be throwing it at you, and yeah, just enjoy the experience. And everybody, please support, and yeah, have a lovely, lovely evening.
Thank you.
See you later. Bye.